very brown when I came back. So this works great. Plus anything that's in the barrel, what I do with the barrel is I fill it full of organic soil. Or either that or potting mixes that are organic. And that way I've got, in fact I make my own organic material in barrels. I compost it and then I dump those barrels into a barrel and then finish it off with a little organic soil on top or some compost mix or something like that, and then plant my plants in there. You can plant 1 tomato per barrel, per 20-gallon barrel, and you will have more tomatoes than you can possibly eat. You know, one of those people that are passing them off to their neighbors and they go, oh, here he comes again with his tomatoes. Squash, eggplants, you know, you can grow anything in barrels that you can grow in the ground. The nice part about barrels is you can walk all the way around it, you can pick from any side. I put wire cages inside my barrels, the same as people do with their tomatoes on the ground, or cucumbers, or whatever you're growing, vines. Grows up. It's easy to pick. You've got lots of airflow. When being off the ground, it's harder for insects to get in the barrel. Because one, they're crawling up a negative, because most of these barrels are smaller at the bottom and larger at the top, so they're crawling up this negative incline. They get to the lip and they can't crawl around the lip, so they fall off. So they're not getting into the barrel trying to eat your plants. Now there are exceptions. I mean, moths and butterflies will lay their eggs inside because they can fly, and then you get caterpillars that will eat some of the foliage, especially the caterpillar that typically eats all the tomatoes up and everybody worries about it. It's not a big deal. You just pick it off and put it someplace else, or squish it if you like. They're beautiful butterflies, so yeah, put it in somebody else's yard. But I do barrels because they're just extremely easy. I know I've got good compost and because I put everything in that barrel, so I'm not worried about not eating organically. Because everything that I need is in there. Plus I might add organic fertilizers. I might add sea salt. Why sea salt? Because sea salt can be added to any soil, and it puts every mineral that's needed by that plant in the soil. And after all, why do we eat? To get all the minerals that we can into our own body.
How often?
How much, how often? If it's a 20-gallon drum, I'm just using about a tablespoon. You can use more. The formula for open soil is 2 1/4 pounds per 100 square feet. 2 1/4 pounds of sea salt per 100 square feet. Now that actually comes out to a lot more in a 20-gallon barrel, but since I'm already putting organic soil in, I don't feel I have to add more than just about a tablespoon to the barrel. So this is the way I get good organic soil, good organic mixes into my plants. I'm eating organics every time. With your soil, you may not know the history of some of your property if you're new to it, or if you do know the history, you know what fertilizers or things that you put on it. If you had something in the past that, like a weed and feed, you know, you definitely want to probably get rid of that, and that's going to take a lot of time before that passes. And I would suggest you plant something like sunflowers or mustard greens or something like that that you can yank up and then put into compost and recompost it over and over again. And typically your chemicals go away in 2 to 5 years. But if you're doing the barrel method, everything you put in that barrel you know can be organic. And then at the end of the year I take the barrel and I spread the compost out over the lawn. So it's fertilizing the lawn again. So nothing's wasted, everything continually gets turned back into the landscape. So I've really enjoyed this barrel growing. Much easier, much safer than doing anything else. And again, the holes in the bottom make all the difference in the world, because once the plant grows from the top of that barrel through those holes, can't overwater it, can't underwater it. It's a great plant. And whatever organic material seeps out, the roots pick it up once they go through the barrel. So it's real tough not to appreciate this barrel gardening. And you can have as many barrels as you want or as few barrels as you want. We've got a family of 4 and we've got 8 barrels. And that pretty much takes care of everything that we want to grow. Yes, sir.
The last time I pulled up one of my barrels, I noticed I had 2 very large grubs under there.
Yes.
Is there something that can be done during the process of the planting and?
Yes, you can.
Or-
In fact, I get grubs every once in a while when I'm growing my trees. And I mean, these are the rhinoceros beetle grubs. They're really large. Malcolm Beck says they do no harm. Malcolm's wrong. When they get in organic soils, what they're doing is eating organic material. And so when they run out of what they want to eat, they start eating live roots. Now, the way I take care of that is to put compost tea with an extra squeeze of nematodes. Beneficial nematodes will kill grubs. And so they even kill the rhinoceros beetle. So an extra dose of beneficial nematodes and the grubs are gone. Yes, sir.
You put that in during the brewing cycle,
During
or
the brewing cycle.
Okay.
Or right after, it doesn't make any difference. But if you put it in during the brewing cycle,
You're gonna
say you
multiply.
add 10,000, you might have 20,000 to add, because they'll multiply in that 24 hours.
You add that to the top of the barrel and just let it seep down?
Put it in the top of the barrel and let it seep down. And that's something else I would do this time of the year, is put down organic fertilizers and compost and teas, organic teas. You can't go wrong. You can put those down any time of the year. And if you're trying to improve your soil, well, you want to improve it as much as you can. Now, if I were starting a garden new, brand new earth, I'd be tilling and exposing to the weather at least for a month. Like I said, we're having freezes pretty much once a week now, and it's real easy to till in between those freezes and expose that soil. So you can do that. When you get to your final tilling, whether it be in February or March, whenever you decide you're going to plant your garden, the best thing to do at that point is to add in lots and lots of compost, lots and lots of organic fertilizers, and maybe even some mulch, just depending on your soil, whatever it takes to loosen it up. I also like rice hulls. I go get rice hulls and I mix that into my soil. It really makes a wonderful garden. You'll notice that anytime you till, the soil comes up and then it also settles back down. When you start adding things like rice hulls, the soil comes up. It doesn't settle much. And the plants just go crazy because they've got all this air and this oxygen movement in the soil, and it's just an ideal situation when you've added the compost and the beneficial compost teas. You know, you couldn't ask for a better garden. Usually the first year gardens are the best ones anyway. Yes?
Do you get similar benefits with worm castings?
Do I get similar benefits with worm
What's the
castings?
value of worm castings?
Worm castings are like adding the sea salt. There are a lot of good minerals. So when you add it to the soil, you're getting an extra dose of minerals. Yes, sir.
Several years ago down there, like 60 miles north of Laredo, north of the country road, there's an 18-wheeler loaded with carrots. They were telling me there was a Del Monte packing plant down there.
Mhm.
Somebody said that's volcanic soil down there, and that's why they can grow it in there.
There are some volcanic soils in our area, not many.
But I was just wondering how they could. They said this 18-wheeler was loaded to the brim with carrots.
Uh-huh.
And it's real, to me,
Well, they
it's
grow
like
carrots in the valley by the zillions.
So, but I was just wondering, is that because it's volcanic material, or?
No, doesn't have anything to do with volcanic material. You can grow carrots in just about anything, pure sand. Yes, ma'am.
You were talking about this, something that you put in the soil, and once it's in there, how it expands and.
The rice hulls.
Rice hulls?
Rice hulls.